Now, a good friend of mine has been growing some patio standard roses in some pots on his patio for around about the last 2 years. And this is a typical example of how they look, which is frankly a little bit disappointing as we go into this current year. So what he's asked me to do is basically spruce them up for him. Now, if yours look like this, the things to look for are very small leaves, because that means there's a lack of nutrient in the compost, and they're a bit misshapen. So that's also a sign that they've maybe been badly maintained. This is the perfect opportunity to actually really spruce them up. So what I'm going to do, first of all, is looking at this. I'm going to be quite brutal, and I'm literally going to trim off some of this growth to create a much more uniform head. Now, obviously be careful as you do this, because they're a little spiky, and you look at that and you think, well, that's a massive reduction in the overall size of the head. But don't panic about that. They will soon regrow, and they're absolutely programmed to do that. So I'm going to prune back so I end up with a nice uniform head. Any dead wood, there's a little dead branch down here, I'm just going to remove that completely. Now, so we've got the pruning more or less done. I'm going to pop my trusty secateurs back in there. Be brave at this point. So I'm going to literally tip up the pot upside down, take it out. There we are. Now, what they've done is they've put some slate in the bottom to create a bit of excess drainage, which is perfectly acceptable to do. It's not really necessary with most modern composts, but you can do it if you really want to. I'm going to take off a few bits of this compost here. There's a few weeds in the top as well, so we'll get those removed simultaneously. And you look at that and you think, well, that's actually quite brutal, but that's just what the plant needs. Now, there's a couple of longish roots there. Again, root pruning is perfectly acceptable, so just prune off those long trailing roots, because that will actually make the plant create better, more fibrous roots close to the actual centre of it. Put that to one side. Now, I'm not going to put any crocks back in the bottom, because with this modern compost you really don't need to. This is our premium professional compost, so it's lovely friable compost. There we are. Perhaps just a tiny bit too much in there, so we'll just try that again. There we are, perfect. Okay, you can see it sat there nicely. Get it centered, so it's on a flat surface. I've got that centered now. I'm going to put a few more handfuls in, just without over firming it, just gently tease that in around the sides. Another handful as well. Now that is perfect. I'm going to leave the label on, but I'm just going to, when I've finished, just push that down there. So it will be there, but it will just be out of sight. So if they want to know what colour that is, they've got that available. And there we are. Now, if you wanted to, you could put that slate back on top. But what we've now got, I think, is a plant that's really ready to go. And, oh, I can't get my secateurs out. There, got them. Ready to go, perfect. I'm just going to prune the last couple of bits and pieces there. It's a bit like when you finish off a haircut. We've now got nice symmetry there. We've got fresh compost around those roots. I'm going to give this a drink, get it back on the patio, and then the next day or so, return it back to my friend, and he'll get a summer full of patio flowers from these beautiful patio roses.